Have you ever noticed how some people don't really enter a room? They sort of arrive and then hover. They're there, physically present, but not performing, not jumping in, not trying to be noticed. They lean against a wall, sit a little off to the side, watch conversations instead of steering them. And if you're honest, maybe that's you. You hear everything, you notice who's talking the most, who's pretending to listen, who's waiting to leave. You're not shy, you're not bored, you're just observing, like you're running a quiet analysis while everyone else is busy being loud. And people don't always get it. They assume you're distant or disengaged or that you don't have much to say. What they don't realize is that you're saying plenty, just not out loud. Because preferring to observe instead of participate isn't one thing. It's not one personality type. There are a few very different reasons people choose the sidelines. And once you see them, you might understand yourself or someone close to you a lot better. Let's start with a situation you might recognize. You're in a group conversation, multiple voices, overlapping opinions, jokes flying around. Someone interrupts, someone repeats what was just said but louder. And you stay quiet, not frozen, not anxious, just listening. You're tracking the room. This is the pattern reader. Pattern readers don't experience social situations as moments. They experience them as systems. Their attention spreads wide. They notice tone shifts, body language, who reacts to whom, who's performing confidence versus who actually has it. Jumping in too early feels premature, like speaking before the picture is complete. So they wait, they gather, they watch the shape of things before they add their own voice. Psychologically, this comes from heightened sensitivity to social information. Their brains process more input at once, which means they need space to sort it. Silence isn't emptiness, it's processing. If this is you, you've probably heard "you're so quiet" more times than you can count, and you might feel a little misunderstood by it. Because inside, you're not quiet at all. You're overloaded. Then there's another kind of observer, and this one is often mistaken for being closed off. Picture someone who could participate easily. They're articulate, they know what they think, they just don't always want to put it out there. This is the self-protective observer. For them, participation isn't neutral. Being seen comes with risk. Once you speak, people interpret you, label you, reduce you to a version that may not feel accurate. So observing feels safer, not because they're afraid of people, but because they value control over their inner world. They choose ambiguity over exposure. Often, this pattern forms early. Maybe expressing yourself led to criticism, or expectations you didn't ask for, or being misunderstood in a way that stuck. So instead, you learn to stay present without revealing too much. You listen, you engage lightly, you open up slowly, if at all. If this resonates, you probably don't trust instant closeness. You watch people before you let them see you, not because you're distant, but because you're selective. Now here's a different kind of observer, one people usually don't pathologize because there's nothing defensive about it. This is the distance seeker. They simply feel more like themselves when they're slightly removed from the action. Being inside the crowd blurs their thoughts. Stepping back sharpens them. They enjoy people. They're curious about human behavior, but they don't need to be constantly involved to feel connected. In fact, too much interaction can drown out their inner voice. Psychologically, these people have rich internal lives. Their thoughts, memories, and reflections are vivid. Observation feeds that world. Constant interaction interrupts it. If this is you, you might love deep conversations but hate constant chatter. You might enjoy company but on your own terms. And sometimes you might feel quietly guilty for not being more social, even though nothing about you is lacking. Then there's one more kind of observer, and this one is often misunderstood as aloofness. This is the strategic non-participant. They've learned that silence can be powerful, that not reacting right away lets other people reveal more, that choosing when to speak gives their words weight. They don't avoid participation, they ration it. When they finally do speak, people listen, because they don't talk just to fill space. They wait until they actually have something to add.
If you're this type, you might notice people projecting onto you. They assume you're judging or detached or uninterested, when really you're just being deliberate. But here's the part that ties all of this together. Many people who prefer observing aren't avoiding life, they're resisting pressure. Modern culture rewards constant expression. React faster, share more, speak now, have an opinion immediately. Observers move at a different speed. They want to understand before they respond, to feel before they declare. So they pause, and in that pause, they see things others miss. But there's a cost. Observers are often overlooked, underestimated, sometimes even forgotten. You can be surrounded by people and still feel unseen because you're present without being loud. So if you're an observer, the work isn't becoming someone you're not. It's learning when to step forward without betraying your nature, knowing that visibility doesn't have to mean overexposure, and that observation is a strength, as long as it's not the only place you live. So take a second and think about it. Which one felt closest to you? The pattern reader? The self-protector? The distant seeker? The strategic non-participant? Or maybe you shift between them, depending on the room, the people, the moment. And one last, quieter question. When you choose to observe instead of participate, what are you really giving yourself? Time? Safety? Understanding? Control? Sit with that. And if this felt familiar, you're not alone, even if you often feel like you're watching from the edge. If you want to share, leave a comment with what you recognized. And if you want more reflections on the quiet patterns shaping how we think, feel, and connect, this channel is built for people who notice more than they say.